DreAllDay.com.
3 championships with 3 different teams. I think it's time that we all show Danny Green his proper respect. Everybody saw what just happened. Game 6 of the 2020 NBA Finals. The series is over. LA Lakers are the 2020 NBA champions. The 2019-2020 NBA champions. I think many people thought before the series began that the Lakers were the team. Actually, a lot of people thought at the beginning of the season that the Lakers were the team to win. Now, while in this series I did pick the Heat, but I gave that pick with a disclaimer in my preview video that I always pick the underdog team. Did I really think the Heat had a chance? Yes. I thought they could at least compete in the series, which they did. They won 2 games. I don't think many people thought they would win more than 1 game or probably win 0 games in this series, but they did compete. Clearly, they started to run out of gas later in this series, and in the face of many people's thoughts about the Lakers roster, I never liked the Lakers roster all season. I didn't like their team. I'm like, this is the team that they're gonna go to war with this team. I didn't like the rest of their roster outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, and I still don't think it's that great of a roster. I think they can make this roster a lot better than what it is, but some players stepped up and actually delivered. Anthony Davis dominated defensively in ways that I hadn't seen him dominate on defense before. LeBron's been LeBron. We all know about his work. Rondo actually looked rejuvenated in these playoffs. KCP had the last 3 games of this series. KCP was actually looking really good in the way that he delivered. But we're going to get into the details of each player in a moment. But overall, the Lakers have won this championship coming into the season. Again, looking at the league, I thought it was as wide open as it's been in many years, with the Warriors, not being the Warriors anymore with their injuries and being no clear-cut favorite. I mean, the Lakers hadn't even gone to the playoffs last year. The Clippers had a great-looking team on paper, but they hadn't done anything together yet. The Rockets look good, but they were always falling short in the playoffs, so we weren't sure what they could do. There were other upstarts like Dallas and Denver in the West, maybe a team like Portland, but none of them had actually really been that far in the playoffs for us to say, are they really going to do something? Are they really a threat? In the East, you had the Sixers, who, they had been semi-good the year before, but then they lost Jimmy Butler, and the Sixers let Jimmy Butler walk so they could sign Al Horford and Tobias Harris. We ain't even going to talk about that right now. Milwaukee looked like maybe the prohibitive favorites, but they ran into the wrong team at the wrong time. Didn't even get to use their home court advantage. Toronto lost Kawhi Leonard, who's one of the best players in the NBA. And Boston, up-and-coming team, but still young and not quite ready for it, not just yet. And who else was it? It might be somebody else I'm forgetting, but it was very wide open. But LeBron James is the best player in the game. I made a video in 2019 saying that. He's still the best player in the league. Nobody has taken that title, and this championship only solidifies that even more strongly for LeBron to hold that title. But let's get to talking about tonight's game, what happened in the game tonight. Then we'll talk about futures and legacies and all that, because this is going to be the next conversation now. Where does LeBron stand in the all-time of basketball? We're going to get to that in a minute. So first of all, tonight's game, let's talk about the Miami Heat, who fought valiantly, went to the NBA championship. They beat the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, shut down Giannis's buzzsaw of a club in the bubble, albeit in the bubble. Milwaukee didn't get to use their home court advantage that they earned during the season, but this is how things go sometimes. So we got to give Miami their respect. I don't think anyone was picking them to be an NBA Finals representative this year. Probably a playoff team, but NBA Finals, probably not. They did it. So we got to show them their respect for that tonight. Bam Adebayo, 25, 10, and 5. This is a great game for Bam. 10 for 15 from the floor. He was a minus 21 overall in plus minus. Actually, the worst plus minus on the team. Worst plus minus of anybody who played in the game tonight. He played 42 minutes. So his stats look good, but his plus minus wasn't, because the Lakers just kicked the Heat's ass tonight. I think we can all agree to that, even if you're a Heat fan. Heat got their ass kicked tonight. Bam put up great stats. Jay Crowder with 12 points, 4 rebounds. Duncan Robinson, 10 points. He had seemed like he scored all his points in the first quarter. He had a couple threes early in the game. I don't remember him doing anything else the rest of the game. So the Lakers kind of got on top of that. Duncan Robinson's the kind of guy, he has a couple of those things early. You're like, okay, we got to play this guy different than everybody else. They adjusted to that. Tyler Hero did not have a good game. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 for 10 from the floor. He was actually a plus 4 overall, but in 30 minutes, he was not really a factor. Jimmy Butler, as I said, after game 3, when he had a LeBron-like stat line in game 3, I said, Only way the Heat win this series is if he does this. He got to do that 3 more times for them to win 3 more games. He was able to do it 1 more time, and they won Game 5, but he couldn't do it tonight. He ran out of gas. They only had 1 nice rest. Only 12 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. He was only 5 for 10 from the floor, so it's not even like he was missing. He just didn't have the gas to even get the shots that he had been getting or get the free throws. He only shot 3 free throws this game. He was only 1 for 3 from the foul line. Bam was 5 for 9 from free throw. Jay Crowder 5 for 7. The Heat overall were 13 of 22 from the free throw line, 60%. They were like Shaquille O'Neal as a team from the free throw line tonight. And is it because they weren't focused? I don't think so. I mean, their season was on the line. I think this is just a matter of fatigue. They just ran out of gas. They gave everything they had to get the 2 wins that they got, and they didn't have anything left here tonight. That's pretty much what it was. Jimmy was a minus 18 overall. Looking at the Heat's bench, Andre Iguodala, 10 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 2 from the floor. He was a minus 20 in only 10 minutes. Kendrick Nunn, 12 minutes. He scored 8 points. The guy can score. He's a microwave off the bench, but he wasn't making the difference. Goran Dragic, I mean, he had a torn fascia in his foot. I don't know if any of you ever had that before. I had a pulled fascia. I didn't play or practice for a week. This dude had a torn fascia and played and didn't look like he was hurting. He was playing. 5 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, but I mean, 2 for 8 from the floor. None you're going to get from him. Kelly Olynyk. This is the one interesting thing that Heat fans should take note of. Kelly Olynyk played 15 minutes, 14 and 52 seconds, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 of 7 from the floor, a plus 19. Kelly Olynyk is the only player on the Heat's team who was a plus anything more than the highest plus minus was 7, and that was Solomon Hill, and he only played 2 minutes. So that doesn't even count. Kelly Olynyk was a plus 19 in the 15 minutes he played tonight. And I saw someone post this. It was either maybe somebody said it on Twitter or one of the announcers, either Mark Jackson or Jeff Van Gundy said it. Kelly Olynyk is a good matchup against the Lakers when they don't have Dwight Howard in the game. Because Kelly Olynyk's not a banging big guy, but he's a big body. He can guard somebody like Anthony Davis just as well as anybody else on the Heat can. He can shoot from the outside. He can put the ball on the floor. He can play in open space. He can run the pinch post and things like that. He's actually a good player to use against the Lakers, and the Heat didn't use him. Kelly Olynyk might have been a guy they should have went to, maybe gave him some more playing time tonight, instead of giving minutes to Andre Iguodala, who did nothing, instead of giving so many minutes to Tyler Hero, who didn't do much, or even Jay Crowder, or maybe even Bam. Kelly Olynyk actually could have helped them make a difference tonight. He was a plus 19 overall, and when he was on the court, Kelly Olynyk he works against certain teams. He doesn't work against every team, but against certain teams, Kelly Olynyk is something for the Heat fans and the Heat to think about in the offseason, that they maybe could have used Kelly Olynyk a little bit more. But anyway, congrats to the Heat on a great season. You made it to the finals, but the Lakers were a stronger team, as we saw. Now, looking at the winning team, the LA Lakers, what have I said to y'all after every game of this series? That for the Lakers to win, we know LeBron's going to do what he does. AD's going to do what he does. The Lakers need 2 guys other than them 2 to get like 15 points, and the Lakers win. They did that by halftime. KCP had 15 at halftime. Rajon Rondo had 13 at halftime. They ended up with 17 and 19 respectively, and that's pretty much what it was. Danny Green gave you 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 for 10 from the floor. He had an okay game. That's pretty much how Danny Green's been all playoffs. Alex Caruso started. He didn't do a lot. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He was kind of all over the place. He was just doing right basketball things. He didn't put up big stats. And maybe he's not that much of a stat guy, but he was a plus 20. He was actually the highest plus minus on the team. LeBron and AD were both plus 18. Nobody else is more than a plus 8. So those 3 guys, Caruso, AD, and LeBron, plus 20, plus 18, and a plus 18 and plus minus on the court here tonight. So Caruso in the same category with LeBron and AD, but that also might be because he was always on the court when LeBron and AD were on the court. We got to factor that in as well. KCP, as I said, 17 points. KCP actually looked better than I thought he was in this series. Maybe he played a little bit above his normal level. Maybe he always plays like this. Y'all Lakers fan can tell me. I haven't watched his career that closely, but KCP actually played very well the last 3 games of this series. Rajon Rondo. I mean, this is playoff. This is why they call him playoff Rondo. He in the playoffs, in games that matter, Rajon Rondo is locked in and focused. I don't know how locked in and focused he is. You put him on a team that's not going anywhere or a mediocre club, but on a good team, in games that matter, Rajon Rondo shows the hell up, and he did. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 for 11 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3. Rondo had a great game. If you get this from Rondo every night, all right, he should be your 6th man on any team in the NBA, which he was for the Lakers here tonight. Kyle Kuzma didn't do much. 22 minutes, he only scored 2 points, 1 rebound. That's all Kyle Kuzma does is score. He doesn't really do anything else. He was 1 for 4 from the floor, as was Markieff Morris. 16 minutes. He had 3 points, 2 rebounds. He was also 1 for 4 from the floor. Neither one of them did anything. So Kyle Kuzma and Markieff Morris both did. They combined to do nothing. But off the bench, the Lakers, basically, it was 6 guys tonight. LeBron, Danny Green, AD, Caruso, and KCP is the starting 5. Rondo off the bench. Kuzma did nothing. Markieff Morris did nothing. Dwight Howard didn't play. I mean, he did hit a 3 at the end if y'all was watching. Then they threw a couple guys in for the last 2 minutes during the celebration. But that was pretty much it. The Lakers went with a 6-man rotation tonight, and they just cut the Miami Heat in half in the first half of this game. They were destroying the Heat by halftime. They were destroying these guys, and it was all on the defense. We didn't even talk about the superstars. First, let's talk about Anthony Davis. 19 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Didn't make any threes, plus 18 overall. It seemed like he had more counting stats on defense. It seemed like he had more than 2 blocks, right? But great defense, sometimes you deter the other team from even trying certain shots, or they're just missing certain shots, which AD did all night. Those things don't come up in the regular stat sheets, but if you look deep into analytics, those are the kind of things you would notice about Anthony Davis. So he made a great case for being one of the best defensive players in the game tonight, and just his presence on the court. It wasn't even his stats, but his presence on the court defensively. And if you watched the game, you saw that even the announcers, JVG and Mark Jackson, were announcing that a lot. And LeBron James did LeBron things. 28 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists. This is a normal. LeBron James has normalized putting up these kind of stats. If any other player in the NBA, any player in the NBA put these kind of stats up in a finals game and won the game, everybody be talking about it all day. LeBron does this in damn near every finals he plays in, and it becomes normal. Like, we expect him to do it, and he did it again tonight. And when they're expecting you to do it, it's even harder than when they're not expecting you to do it. 1 steal, 13 for 20 from the floor. That's 65% from the floor overall. A plus 18, only 1 turnover with 10 assists and a closeout game. I mean, if there's not a stronger case you could make for LeBron still being the best player in the game and what he did out there tonight. I mean, I don't know what else we got to say about LeBron. As far as what he does night in and night out delivering, there's nobody, even if you hate LeBron, you got to give him his respect that he is the best player in the game. And winning the championship, ain't no argument you can make against it. So these 2 guys, this dynamic duo on the Lakers, I have to admit that when I saw this team, I said, yeah, they got LeBron and AD. They're both great, but who else they got? The rest of this team, I wasn't excited about. I'm not excited about Danny Green, KCP, Rondo, Kuzma, Markieff Morris, Jared Dudley, Dwight Howard. I'm like, this is their team? Like, they going to win a championship with that? They won a championship with that. So that it worked. So nowadays, I guess now we're down to the dynamic duos, because for a while you had the big 3s, right? The Celtics had their big 3. They had Allen, Pierce, and KG, and you could throw Rondo in there a little bit on a lower level. He was a younger player then. Then the Heat went and got their big 3. Then you had, what other big 3s were there? I don't know. There were a couple others. I can't even remember what they were. The Sixers tried a big 3 with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler, and they tried it. Didn't work. Then you had, the Spurs had a big 3. You had Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker. So it was a few big 3s that were working. But nowadays it looks like we're going to the era of the big 2. It has just morphed into this right in front of our eyes. So now you got the Rockets with Harden and Russell. You got the Lakers with AD and LeBron. The Sixers now down to 2, Joel and Ben Simmons. You got Luka and Porzingis in Dallas. You had Paul George and what's that guy's name? Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers. So now you got a lot of big 2s now instead of big 3s. You got, I guess you could say, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in Boston, maybe. Whatever you want to call that. KD and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn. Now it's going down to duos instead of the big 3s anymore. So I don't know. The game has just evolved that quickly. Things are evolving very quickly out here in this game. And this big 2 of LeBron and AD just won the championship. So I guarantee you that other teams are going to be looking for ways for them to put their 2s together. Oh, yeah, the other big 3 that we saw was Golden State. They actually had a 4. I mean, Draymond was an all-star, so I guess we got to count him as a 4. So you had Steph, Clay, Draymond, then you threw Kevin Durant in there. They had a big 4. So now is the big 2 era. What does this mean? I don't know. I guess we're going to see. Every team's going to be trying to find their 2 superstars to put together, put a good enough roster around it, and see what you can do with it. But I think it helps when you got one of the best defensive players in the league, and Anthony Davis, who's very versatile as far as what he can do offensively, who he can guard defensively, and you got a guy like LeBron James, who happens to be the best player in the game. So their big two is kind of an anomaly. It ain't like you just grab any two players who are all-stars and say, all right, now y'all go do what LeBron and AD did. That doesn't quite work that way. I don't think there's any other two in the league that can do what those two guys did on the court as far as their versatility offensively and defensively combined. There is no other. If there is a duo that I'm not thinking of, y'all let me know. I don't think there is one in the league that comes close. Obviously, nobody's LeBron and AD. But is there a duo that even comes close as far as what they can do overall, just their overall abilities? I don't think. Not that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But all that being said, now that we know who the champion is, we know the Lakers have won another championship. We know LeBron now has 4 titles. I'm sure pretty soon the argument is going to turn to, are we done talking about the NBA season? Next season is not starting until, who knows, January. Who knows when it's starting. Now it's going to be LeBron versus Jordan again. What do I say about LeBron Jordan? Now, if I had to pick one person, I'm going with Michael Jordan. I'm probably a little bit older than many of you. I saw Michael Jordan when he was Michael Jordan. I look at it as not even so much that I got to give you a certain stat that makes Jordan better than LeBron. Of course, he got more championships than LeBron, but LeBron has the counting stats over Jordan. His longevity. LeBron's longevity is the strongest argument you have for a LeBron. Somebody comes to me and says LeBron's better than Jordan. I understand, especially if it's a younger person. I understand it. I understand your perspective. I respect it because LeBron has the longevity, because he's won championships with 3 different teams, because he's taken rosters that, even when he lost, he took rosters that were not very strong to the finals. Even if you want to say, well, he did it in the East and the East was weak. Listen, still the NBA. All right, the teams that he took to the finals in Cleveland, especially that last year when they got swept by the Warriors, that 2018 club, that roster was terrible. And he took that team to the NBA finals. Like, that's worth something. Even though you lost, that's worth something. LeBron James, and the way that he has always consistently delivered every playoffs, except for, it was only twice in the playoffs he didn't deliver. 2010 when they lost to Boston, that was right before he left to go to Miami. Even the games where they were losing, he was getting a triple-double. And then in 2011 against Dallas in the finals, I don't know what happened to him there. That was the only 2 series ever this dude didn't deliver. Every other series he has delivered consistently. You knew exactly what you're going to get from him every time. 25-plus points, usually double figures in rebounds, close to double figures in assists every single time. And he never shorted you. You never get shorted by LeBron James. Now, you never got shorted by Michael Jordan either. Let's be clear. But the dude has delivered, and if you didn't see Jordan and all you've seen is LeBron, I understand how you can make a case for LeBron. All right, I ain't mad at you if you think LeBron's better than Jordan. Okay, I'm not mad at all. However, the overall conversation, I don't even think now that their careers are so different. This wouldn't fly on TV, what I'm about to say. I couldn't be on ESPN saying what I'm about to say. You shouldn't really compare them because they're so different. Jordan was in for a condensed period of time, left, came back for another condensed period of time, dominated the whole times he was in, but there were smaller periods. LeBron been in all this time. He came in 2003, it's 2020, and dude is still at his peak. Who from the league is still in the league? Who got drafted that year? LeBron was the first pick. Darko's gone. Carmelo's hanging on. Dwayne Wade is gone. Chris Bosh is gone. These guys are all from his draft. They're all gone. Now, look at Dwight Howard. Came in a year after him. Dwight Howard's a dude sitting at the end of the bench now on LeBron's team. These are all guys who came in around the same time that he came into the league. Amari Stoudemire was rookie of the year before. He's not in the league anymore. LeBron is still he's still the best player in the league. He's not just in the league. He's the best player in the league at damn near 20 years into a career. That longevity means a lot. And that counts a lot for somebody trying to make a case for LeBron James. Now, again, if I was on ESPN, I would have to pick a side because otherwise it wouldn't be good TV. But since it's not ESPN, I'm going to be measured and say it in a more objective type of way. I know the conversation is going to come up. It'll be interesting just to hear what arguments people come up with it. But I would say, all right, Jordan was the guy in his era. LeBron's the guy in this era. And let's just all get along with that point. Let's just all get along with that agreement. LeBron dominated this era. Jordan dominated that era. And let's just leave it at that. Does Kobe come into this between the two of them? No, I don't think so. Shout out to Kobe. But no, I don't think Kobe is in this conversation between LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. LeBron's in the top 5 of all time. I think he was already in the top 5. Jordan's in the top 5 of all time. I still put Jordan number 1. But LeBron is up. He's in the top 5. He might be in the top 3. All that being said, I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, most of you picked the Lakers to win this series. It's fine. The Heat won 2 games, which I don't think many people even expected. Jimmy Butler proved that he is among the upper echelon of players out there in this league, even though he's not a stats type of player. He's going to put up eye-popping stats every night, but he delivered. When they needed him to deliver, he delivered. Now, the Heat did not have their whole complement of players this whole series. We know that Bam was banged up a little bit. We saw that Goran Dragic, who was probably the actual steering wheel of that offense. When he's healthy, he's the steering wheel of the offense. Jimmy Butler was secondary to him when the Heat were actually running their full offense, at least in the playoffs. Now, Goran Dragic wasn't even starting during the regular season. Kendrick Nunn was starting. Now, seeing what we just saw in the playoffs, some people might be wondering, how the hell was that possible? I'm wondering how the hell that was possible that Kendrick Nunn beat out Goran Dragic for a starting spot. But it happened. But anyway, we'll see what happens next year with that team. I don't know what else I need to say. Y'all tell me, is there anything that I missed? Anything else I need to say about this? What are your thoughts about LeBron versus Jordan? Does everyone agree that LeBron is still the best player in the NBA? I don't think there's any way you can question that right now. And that's that. This is it. Basketball Twitter, or basketball YouTube, all y'all. It's been a great, interesting, long, spread out, protracted year. But I guess we got another year before we get to this again. I know people was asking me, would I do the top 5 at every position video? I guess I'll do that. I gotta actually do some research because, damn, it's been so long since we've seen all the players. I gotta actually remember who plays in the NBA. So I gotta do a little bit of research, and then I'll come out with the top 5 at every position. If I'm gonna do it, then I'll try to do it. I'll try to get it done before the presidential election because there's gonna be a lot to talk about socially after the presidential election happens. So I got 3 weeks to figure that out. So we'll get to it if we get to it. Everybody have a great night. Have a great summer. Stay safe. Keep your hands clean. Put on your mask if you got to go into a business, even if you don't like masks, whatever it is. Protect yourselves. It's going to get crazy out here in the next 3 weeks off the basketball court. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So that's that. Work on your game. We out of here. And if you're a basketball player, work on your game. See y'all later. We out of here. Dre all day.